Hello everyone, how are you all doing? East Coast Train Spotting here, and today you join me with the first episode of my new series, How and Why. Before we start, I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. It only takes a few seconds, but it really helps my channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications on future videos just like this. The numbering of trains plays an important role for identification, as well as planning for both operations and maintenance. The numbers are also significant to railway enthusiasts. Today we will be taking a journey through time to understand how trains in the UK are numbered and why each individual number is assigned. I will be looking at both the TOPS and pre-TOPS numbering systems for diesel and electric locomotives, as well as multiple units. I will also briefly touch on passenger coaching stock, with a more in-depth look at the newer Mark III and Mark IV coaches. The aim for today's video is for you to be able to look at any train and comfortably understand what the numbers signify. Beginning with pre-TOPS, and from 1957, the standard prefix star numbering system was used. Whilst this system of numbering was replaced by the TOPS numbering system in the early 1970s, it is still as important, as many heritage locomotives can still be seen carrying these numbers on heritage railways and indeed on the main line, usually carrying out charter train duties. However, they can also be seen on various freight and departmental operations from time to time. Under this numbering scheme, it was important that both electric locomotives and diesel locomotives could be clearly distinguished from one another. In order to make this possible, electric locomotives were prefixed with the letter E for Echo, and diesel locomotives were prefixed with the letter D for Delta. Electric locomotives were numbered from E1000 to E6100. Diesel locomotives were numbered from D1 to D9555, however, were divided into groups, which denoted different factors as follows. D1 to D1999 was allocated to large mainline diesel locos. D2000 to D2999 was allocated to smaller shunters. D3000 to D4192 was allocated to larger shunters. D5000 to D6357 was allocated to small to medium mainline diesel locos. D6500 to D7100 was allocated to medium mainline diesel locos. D7500 to 7677 was allocated again to small to medium mainline diesel locos. D8000 to D8616 was allocated to small mainline diesel locos. D9000 to D9021 was allocated again to large mainline diesel locos. And D9500 to D9555 was allocated to small transfer freight locos. The reason for locomotives of the same description receiving different grouping numbers was due to the volume of locomotives outgrowing their original classification. Examples of this style of numbering that can still be seen on the main line today are Class 86259 Peter Pan and Les Ross, which carries the number E3137, and Deltic number 22 Royal Scots Grey, which carries the number D9000. Moving on to the TOPS system now, and after 1973, the TOPS numbering system was introduced, with all new locomotives being numbered in this format, and existing locomotives renumbered in line with the new system. The only exception were locomotives due to be withdrawn in the next few years, which mostly retained their original prefix numbers. The TOPS numbering system is still the format used in the UK today. Under the TOPS system, for locomotives, a 5-digit number is used, with the first 2 digits denoting the locomotive class. For multiple units, a 6-digit number is used, with the first 3 digits denoting the multiple unit class. Moving on now to how each locomotive's numbers are chosen, starting with diesels. Under the TOPS system, diesels were allocated the range from 01 to 69. Each locomotive built is numbered based on horsepower, summed up as follows. Class 01 to 14 was allocated to shunters and locos of less than 800 brake horsepower. Class 15 to 20 was allocated to locomotives of 800 to 1000 horsepower, also known as Type 1 locos. Class 21 to 31 was allocated to locomotives of 1001 to 1499 horsepower, also known as Type 2 locomotives. Classes 33 to 37 were allocated to locomotives of 1500 to 1999 horsepower, also known as Type 3 locomotives. Classes 40 to 53 were allocated to locomotives of 2000 to 2999 horsepower, also known as Type 4s. And classes 55 to 69 were allocated to locomotives producing over 3000 horsepower, also known as Type 5 locos. Electric locomotives were allocated the tops range from 70 to 99, with each locomotive built numbered based on current collection. Classes 70 to 77 was for direct current or DC locomotives, and classes 80 to 99 is for alternating current AC locomotives, but this can also include bi- or tri-mode locomotives, provided they have an AC pantograph as one of their modes of current collection. An outlier is the Class 70, with the designation originally given to a trio of third-rail locomotives. However, these were withdrawn in the late 1960s and thus never received TOPS numbers. The designation was reassigned to the General Electric diesel class constructed in the late 2000s. Although other numbers were available, I assume they were allocated 70, as they are the most powerful diesel locomotives in operation, and this will put them top of class. Now moving on to multiple units, and as previously touched on, these use a 6-digit TOPS number, which is designated based on various factors. Diesel multiple units with mechanical or hydraulic transmission were allocated classes in the range from 100 to 199, which are divided as follows. Class 100 to 131 was allocated to first generation diesel multiple units, built between 1956 and 1963. The 14X class, ranging from 140 to 144, was allocated to what's now affectionately known as Pacer trains, or four-wheeled rail buses, which were built from 1981 to 1988. Classes 150 to 180 were allocated to second-generation diesel multiple units, which were built from 1984 onwards, and classes 185 to 199 were allocated to modern multiple units, built from 2005 onwards. Diesel electric multiple units, meaning diesel-powered units with electric transmission, were allocated classes in the range from 200 to 299 and designated as follows. Classes 201 to 207 were first-generation diesel-electric multiple units, built from 1957 to 1962. The Class 210 was a standalone, second-generation diesel-electric multiple unit prototype, which was built in 1981. Classes 220 to 222 were allocated to modern high-speed diesel-electric multiple units, built from 2000 to 2005. And classes 251 to 254 were allocated to high-speed diesel-electric multiple units, built from 1959 to 1985. Classes 253 and 254 may sound unfamiliar to many. They are also known as HSTs, or high-speed trades, which were originally planned to be fixed formations, so were numbered as such. Power cars being chopped and changed, however, was a regular occurrence, resulting in different numbers at each end, and thus have since been reclassified as locomotives and coaching stock. Electric multiple units were allocated classes in the range from 300 to 599, which were divided as follows. Class 302 to 312 was for first generation overhead AC electric multiple units. Classes 313 to 390 was for second generation overhead AC or dual system EMUs. Class 401 to 438 was for first generation third rail DC EMUs on the southern region. Class 442 to 466 was for second generation third rail DC EMUs, again on the southern region. Classes 480 to 499 was for various trailer units and special vehicles on the southern region running on third rail DC. And classes 501 to 508 were for DC EMUs that operated outside of the southern region. Modern electric multiple units, built in recent years, have been allocated in the 7 or 800 classes, those being the Siemens built Class 700, Class 707 and Class 717, the Bombardier built Class 701, Class 710, Class 720 and Class 730, and the Hitachi built Class 800, Class 801, Class 802, Class 803, Class 805, Class 807 and Class 810. Additionally, converted Class 319 units have been reclassified as Class 768s for parcel workings and Class 769 for passenger workings. For multiple units, each individual vehicle is also numbered. These numbers cannot be the same as that of a locomotive. For older British Rail units, the standard format for numbering is as follows. For diesel multiple units, vehicles are numbered in the 5X XXX and 79 XXX range. For diesel electric multiple units, vehicles are numbered in the 60 XXX range. And for electric multiple units, vehicles are numbered from the 61 XXX all the way through to the 78 XXX range. For example, a standard two-carriage Class 158 Express Sprinter is formed of a 52 XXX car and a 57 XXX car. In some circumstances, the carriages have the same last three digits as the overall unit number. For example, Northern's Class 15228 is formed of 52228 and 57228. However, this is not always the case. For example, Abellio Greater Anglia's Class 321317 is formed of 77869, 71896, 62991 and 78065. For modern multiple units, including the ones mentioned earlier, there is no set pattern. Rather annoyingly, each manufacturer does things differently. For example, 800-205, a standard 5-car bimodal LNER Azuma, is formed of 811-205, 812-205, 813-205, 814-205, and 815-205, also known as car 1 to 5. Loco hull coaches and rolling stock is also numbered from 1 to 99999, but cannot have the same number as that of a locomotive. For the purpose of this video, I'm only going to touch briefly on coaching stock by covering the British Rail Mark III and British Rail Mark IV coaches, which are numbered as follows. So starting with the British Rail Mark III coaching stock, and this format of numbering only applies to vehicles that run as part of a HST set. 40 XXX is for catering vehicles, 41 XXX is for first class trailer vehicles, 42 XXX is for standard class trailer vehicles, and 44 XXX is for the trailer guard standard or guards coach. Moving on to loco hauled stock now, and this numbering format applies to both British Rail Mark III and British Rail Mark IV coaches. 10 XXX is for the catering vehicle, 11 XXX is for first class trailer vehicles, 12 XXX is for standard class trailer vehicles, and 82 XXX is for the driving van trailer or DVT. So now you know how the locomotive or multiple unit class is designated. But what about how each train is individually identified? That's where the last three digits come in, and this is true for all rail vehicles, including the aforementioned Mark III and Mark IV coaching stock. The example on screen is 43048. The 5-digit number tells us this is a locomotive. The range in which it's numbered shows us this is a diesel, and it's producing between 2,000 and 2,999 horsepower. The last 3 digits, 048, is the locomotive identity. So that's it, right? Wrong. As this is British Rail we're talking about, nothing is ever simple. Some classes, but not all, are divided into subclasses. This can be a very grey and confusing area for many. Stay tuned for the next video in the series, where, following on from this, I will break down in detail every subclass for locomotives and multiple units still in use on the network today. I hope you enjoyed and found this video useful. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, take care and goodbye.